On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, what if I told you that Purdue has another dominant big man, but it's not one of the 3 7-footers they have on their roster? What might one say when they find out that information? Trey Kaufman-Renn on Friday dominated Bama. He absolutely it was a pretty decent game, back and forth affair. Purdue pulled away late to ultimately win by a comfortable margin, but on an individual level, Trey Kaufman-Renn was absolutely dominant, was destroying Bama every time he seemingly touched the ball. Purdue gets a massive win. The Mackey crowd carried them home, I would say. We'll spend a lot of time talking about that because Alabama's a team that a lot of people think is national title good. I still think they are, but boy, they didn't look like it against Purdue. We're missing a lot of wide open threes. Mark Sears couldn't really get going. Braden Smith, I felt like, was in control of the whole game, and Trey Kaufman-Renn was dominant. There's no other word to describe it. And on top of all that, like I said, the Purdue fans showed out and showed why I believe Mackey Arena is one of the premier atmospheres in college basketball. So massive win for Purdue. Meanwhile, in the Big Ten, these are not your father's Wisconsin Badgers. They hang 103 points on Friday against the number 9 team in the country. In regulation, I should say. Wisconsin basketball scored 103 points against the number 9 team in the country in regulation. But at the same time, they might be your father's Wisconsin Badgers because all of those points were seemingly off of free throws, and they might be free throw merchants, and they struggled against Texas Rio Grande Valley last night. So we're trying to make sense of how good Wisconsin actually is. I'll say this, John Tonji against Arizona was unstoppable. He did score 21 of his 41 points at the free throw line, and this is becoming a thing, I think, with Wisconsin, where they have figured out very quickly that they are a team full of great free throw shooters, and they think to themselves, if we are so good at shooting free throws, why don't we just make our whole offense out of free throws? But I am forecasting a very frustrating year for the rest of the Big Ten when they play Wisconsin, because Wisconsin is just going to have a parade to the free throw line, and people are going to lose their fucking minds. But congrats to the Badgers, massive win in the Big Ten for both Purdue over Alabama and Wisconsin over Arizona. Maryland felt like they might get one against Marquette. Cam Jones said not so fast. Cam Jones is on first-team All-American watch. I think right now he might be a first-team All-American if the season ended today. It'd be very weird if the season ended today. It just started. Why would we end the season today? But Cam Jones is balling out, 28 points, 18 in the second half. Marquette gets a big road win at Maryland. I think both these teams are pretty good and have – I think Maryland should have tournament aspirations, and Marquette certainly does as well. So this felt like it felt like one of those things where, you know, you look, if you sort your scores by top 25, if you're on your Score mobile app or whatever, and you're only looking at scores involving the top 25, you see Marquette beat a Maryland team that's unranked, it might not pop off the screen at you, but going on the road beating this Maryland team could prove by the end of the season to be a very, very big win. And also the Buckeyes just kind of went ice cold against Texas A&M. It just kind of went ice cold. I knew it was going to happen at some point in the season. I was hoping it wouldn't happen game 3. Was it game 3 for us? It was game 3. We went ice cold. So yeah, A&M beat Ohio State, and I guess we should probably talk about that. If we're gonna puff our chests and get cocky when we beat Texas, we should probably also mention that the Buckeyes kind of sucked ass against Texas A&M, and it was over pretty much from the moment it started. But yeah, that's what's going on in the world of college basketball. Gonzaga gets a big win at San Diego State. A lot to talk about. We'll do our best to encapsulate what was a huge weekend and a good game last night, Monday night. All that coming up. Let's get into it. All right, some housekeeping before we get started. First of all, I want to make it a habit this college basketball season to do a show every Monday morning and recap the weekend games. We did not do that this weekend because I was dealing with a Moses situation. Those of you that have followed the show for a long time know Moses. He's been on a lot of my. I haven't quite turned him into a content dog, but at the same time, he's become a little bit of a content dog. He's my golden retriever I've had for the last 13-plus years. He is set to turn 14 on December 7th. And this weekend, we just had a situation, and he had to go to a couple different emergency rooms, and he had to he's still not out of the woods yet, but we're hoping today we get some better news. And I was basically just dealing with that all weekend and yesterday, Monday, and so that explains why we're doing this on Tuesday, and I just wanted to be clear about that. Why after a great weekend of college basketball, I didn't do a show Monday morning. Moses is, I don't know, he's an old dog, and I'm doing my best to be realistic about it, but I fucking love I love that guy, and I don't know, I'm gonna be a mess is what I kind of learned that yesterday. I'm gonna be a mess. The inevitable is happening. I thought I don't know, I don't really want to do this now, but I also don't want to do it later. I don't want to do it at all, but like I'll say this about Moses, and then we can move on, because I don't want to cry. I don't want to. We're not putting him down. Certainly not today or tomorrow or anything. Like, he's going to be fine. It's just a matter of, I don't know how fine and how much more quality of life he has. But yesterday it just kind of hit me like a ton of the mortality hit me like a ton of bricks yesterday. That, like, maybe there's something in the back of your mind the entire time you have a dog. You know how it works, and you know that day is coming, but you're also a little, I don't know if narcissistic's the word, but there's also a little voice in your head that's like, I don't know, man, what if I have the dog that's going to live forever? What if this dog is special? What if this is the one? And I think yesterday the reality set in that he's not going to live forever, and it was tough, and it was a really, really fucking tough day for us. But having said that, we're gonna love up on him, and I don't know how much time he's got left, but we're gonna love the fuck out of him, just like we've done. He's 14. That's an incredible run. But
I think everyone that's had a dog or lost a dog knows what you're going through. So
yeah,
we relate. Everyone can relate. And when's his 14th birthday coming up?
December 7th. Yeah, less than 3 weeks. Yeah, a couple weeks. He'll turn 14. And so when I got Moses, I got Moses because, specifically for this reason, I had a crippling fear of dogs my entire life, and people don't know this about me. And it sounds absurd to say it out loud, especially if you see me around dogs now. If I've ever had one true phobia in my life, I was scared of dogs. Mm-hmm. Like to a crippling, like to a point that I would go to friends' houses, and their little like Yorkies would come running at me, and I would jump on the kitchen counter.
You're running the other way.
Because I had, just like when I was a kid, my dad was allergic to dogs, so we never had dogs in the house. And I had a few different, like when I was like 4 or 5, I had a few different bad experiences with dogs, and I just like kind of carried that with me. And I got to a point where when I was in college, and I'm going on a bunch of dates, as I did, I was that guy. But I in all seriousness, I remember being on a date with a girl one time, and we're walking down the street, and a guy was walking his dog at us, and I flipped out, and I was like, the street, and she was like, what are you doing? And I remember just thinking like I can't live this way. Yeah. Like, this is no way to go through life. And I also was like really, I was aware of like how much people love their dogs, and like how I was aware of what dogs did to people, and like how much love they had for them, and like how obsessed they were, and all that sort of thing. So I was like, I understand that there's some sort of disconnect between me and dogs, and I don't want this to be my life. So when I graduated college, I was 23 years old. Terrible time for a single man to get a dog. Right. Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, because you got to take care of it, train it, be home with it at the time when you're all over the place.
It's awful. It's an awful time to do it. And yet there was something in my head that was like, I have to do this. Like, I can't go through life this way. It just made so much sense to me. And so I Googled, I landed on a golden retriever, because I was like, I'm fucking terrified of dogs, but I think the only way I'm going to get over this is if I get a dog as a puppy, and I raise that dog, and that dog like respects me, and I can train it and everything, I'm not going to be scared of that dog, and then maybe it'll help me with other dogs, right? So this was like a whole therapeutic thing. I just Googled like, what are the nicest dogs? I literally just was like, yeah, golden retriever popped up. They're like, they're the best, they're the most friendly, they're the easiest to get out. They won't attack you. They're just whatever. So I basically was like, all right, well, I'm going to get a golden retriever puppy. This is how I'm going to get over my fear of dogs. And that's how it happened. And when I was 23 years old, I got a golden retriever puppy. I'm happy to report that not only did I get over my fear of dogs, I fucking love all dogs. Any dog I'm around, like, I just, I want to get in there and rub up on, and like it worked, and he's been incredible. So anyway, that's
Moses right after college.
Yeah, so that's the backstory. So to give again, he's fine, quote unquote, right now, and I say that like I'm gonna get a phone call here in about 2 hours and find out actually how fine he is, but that's where my head's. So I say that, one, to say that's why I didn't do a show yesterday. 2, if my head's not in the game today, that's why my head's not in the game. And 3, I think I think I have to cancel my Maui trip, unfortunately. I'm devastated about that. I was really fired up to go to the Maui Invitational next week, but I got to stay home and appreciate the time with Mosey while I got him.
Let me say this. I'm glad you finally came clean, because every time we've talked Maui, you've been like, man, I really don't want to go and have to work. Sounds like you actually wanted to go, Titus.
Yeah, maybe I was joking the whole time and I actually did want to go. But no, I'd much rather be with Moses than be in Maui anyway. But yeah, that's the I guess the backstory of my relationship with that dog, and he's saved my life multiple times through the years, and I fucking love him, and I can't remember a world without him. And yesterday it just kind of hit me that the reality of the situation. So that's what we're going through. But be that as it may, there is college basketball to talk about, and I would love a distraction right now. So
and it was a great weekend of college basketball.
It was
great.
Friday was loaded. Unbelievable. It lived up to the billing and then some, I thought. The Purdue-Bama game was the one that stood out to me, though. I felt like that was and we can do we can talk about them all, but the Purdue-Bama game was important because I think Purdue is seeking a lot of answers for the Zach Edey vacancy.
Yep.
You know, like that those are the questions about Purdue coming in. Now Purdue was picked to win the league, and Braden Smith's picked to be the preseason Big Ten Player of the Year. So it's not like we expected Purdue to fall off a cliff. But when you go to a Final Four and you finally get over a hump and you're competing for a national championship, the expectations do shift, and the program like Purdue as a program is no longer like, we just want to win the Big Ten and get to the tournament and see what happens. Now, you do take each specific team and assess the talent level and the landscape of the nation, and you know, you can kind of tweak your expectations based on all of that. But as a program now, I don't think Purdue being simply ranked moves the needle for Purdue anymore. So what is it fair though on this specific group to expect another Final Four run? Is it fair to expect them to continue this Big Ten championship streak that they're on? Or is that just simply too much to ask of a team that's losing the two-time defending national player of the year? Those were the questions coming in. They returned a lot of guys, but they lost obviously the best player in college basketball. How are they going to replace him? And then the Bama side of it is like Bama, a lot of people felt it was the best team in the country coming in. A lot of people still are saying, you know, who cares that they lost in one of the toughest environments in college basketball? I still have them as one of the on a short list of national title contenders. So to me, this was a massive game because I think I definitely got more answers about Purdue. Bama, I think if you're trying to be optimistic about Bama, you say they were just missing a lot of wide open threes, and it's a tough environment. One cause for concern with Bama, though, I did feel like the environment ate them up a little more than I would like to see from a team that wants to be taken seriously as a national title contender. Now, you're not going to have to play at Mackey Arena.
The environment you're talking about is what we're saying is the best environment in college basketball.
You're not going to have to play at Mackey Arena on the path to a national championship, but I would like to see it was less like, damn, every fan is yelling at you and you're getting a little rattled. It was more like shit's not going your way. Can you just brush it off and have a next play mentality? And there were times where I was like, I'm not saying the refs were bad, but the Bama felt like a few calls didn't go their way. And the mark of a good team is like, all right, fine, let's wipe our hands of that. Let's lock in on the next play. And there were times where I felt like Mark Sears was getting frustrated. There was one play in particular where Braden Smith, like Sears drives, I think he picks up his dribble and he goes to pass, and Braden Smith like rakes the ball out from him, and they don't call a foul. And I honestly I didn't go frame by frame and see if he got his arms or not, but Sears felt like he was fouled. Braden Smith dives on the floor, grabs the ball, passes it, gets it back, and then he crosses half court and gets bumped, and they call the foul. And you could just see Bama just be like, are you fucking kidding me? And again, I'm not here to say they got the calls wrong. That seemed to be Bama's perspective. And I think moments like that, it's not uncommon this early in the season, especially in an environment like that. But I think moments like that, great teams are just they find a way to like overcome shit like that and not let it bother them. And I felt like a little bit of that was trickling into Bama in this game.
I think that's fair to say, but also, and you've said it, they're going into Mackey Arena in Game 3 or Game 4 of the season. At the end of the day, I don't think we lost anything from Alabama's title chances. My question to you is this. Before the season, you kept saying, Purdue's probably going to win the Big Ten. That's your pick. You still got Matt Painter. You've got the consistency. You didn't feel like a Big Ten team could win the national title.
Yeah.
They just beat a team that I would say was one of the 2 or 3 favorites to win to win the national title. Is Purdue a national title contender?
I think it's still early for that. But Purdue, I think Purdue can have high expectations for sure. I think I don't think they're national title good yet. Obviously they did beat Bama, but I'm still trying to figure out how the pieces all fit. And I think Matt Painter's trying to figure out how the pieces fit. Right now, what we know about Purdue, they have 3 guys that they love. They love Trey Kaufman-Wren, they love Braden Smith, they love Fletcher Lawyer. Outside of that, it's a just kind of committee of who's going to step up.
It was CJ Cox.
CJ Cox stepped up the other. Caleb First, who has kind of been cast off as like damaged goods for this program, and through no fault of his own. I think it speaks more to like how much talent they've brought in through the years. But he was a very highly thought of guy. He's a Indiana Mr. Basketball. Goes to Purdue. And because Matt Painter just has a revolving door of great big men, he just kind of gets forgotten about and thrown off to the side. And then the freshman kid gets hurt, and now Purdue's kind of searching for answers for like we're going to need some depth from our big guys in a way we they kind of already needed that, but they're now going to need it even more. There's more questions than they had even at the beginning of the season. And I felt like he gave them big minutes off the bench. Miles Colvin didn't have a great game in this game, but he's so far this season he's like one of those guys that can step up. So I think that's Cam Heide. I love the idea of him, and I think he can develop into a really good player. But that's where I think Purdue's at, is they have 3 players they trust, and then they also trust that 1 or 2 guys are going to step up. They just don't know who those guys are going to be game to game, and that's the mark of a really good team. I don't know if that's a mark of a national title contender, but yeah, they're a team that can beat anybody. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if they can beat anybody 6 times in a row.
Well, I thought we answered a couple questions. So coming into the season, obviously Purdue does bring back some players, but they don't bring back the player. Then they lose the big dude. And Alabama's tall and long. They don't bang as much as everyone wants, like out of your tall long players. The rebounding differential was 2. I thought that was a very big win for Purdue. And also, I haven't seen a stat like this in a long time in a big game. Purdue only turned the ball over 3 times.
That was the big thing. Game. That was the big thing, because these Purdue guards, that's been consistent throughout their careers. They don't have, I guess I shouldn't say consistent in that like every game it's a problem. I mean consistent in that like as long as they are playing basketball together, that will be the concern with them, is that the turnovers can get out of control at times. Mm-hmm. So if they can take care of the ball, there's not a lot to poke holes at with Purdue. But you're good point about Alabama. They are long and athletic. They have a lot of size on paper. Other than Amarori, how do you say his name? TJ? Amori. I thought it was Amarui.
There's like debate over that. Like the pronunciation guide changed after his like 2nd year.
I thought he was Amarui, and then I was watching that game. They just kept calling him Amori, and then they fucked me up. Omarui.
That's Cliff Amori. Clifford Amori.
They were calling him Amori the whole game, and I was like, I thought it was Amarui when he was at Rutgers.
It does appear to be an Amaru.
This is a consistent college basketball.
A couple times.
This happens all the time.
Yeah.
Dude, it happens all the time. The guys are just like, oh yeah, by the way, Thero.
I was gonna say
at Arkansas
a week ago.
Yeah, Thero is what we're calling him now instead of Thiero. I don't know. But anyway, Amori is the one guy that I think can be physical and welcomes the challenge. Grant Nelson is not that guy. Grant Nelson was getting eaten a lot. Kaufman-Wren would catch the ball with Grant Nelson on him, and he was licking his lips every single time he got the ball with Nelson on him. And now I don't know how many teams are gonna that Bama is gonna face this year will be as physical as Purdue, and I don't mean that as like Purdue's roster doesn't necessarily jump out at you as like a bunch of big, strong football type guys. Purdue culturally is that though, and I think Purdue, the way they coach their guys is like that is what they are instilling in their players, is to play that physical and play that hard. Now, there are other teams like Houston. I think is a team that would be that way. So like it is sort of the thing we're saying about Mackey Arena. I think still applies to Bama. Is like it sucks that they were pushing you around a little bit, but also how many teams in the country are going to do that to Bama? I don't think too many. But at the same time, to let Trey Kaufman-Wren, who's a good player, But to let Trey Kaufman-Rim just do whatever he wants
Did you see Nate Oates
was
talk about him
concerning.
after the game?
Was concerning.
Nate Oates basically not a who was he guy, but they did not prepare for him. They didn't think they needed to double him, and then he proved it every single time.
Yeah.
One-on-one. I don't know. Interesting.
He's so good at the little short roll, the little floater pick and roll with Braden Smith and the floater game he's got going. Fletcher Lawyer's an interesting player too. Purdue's got a really interesting. I think all three of those guys are not. They're obviously not NBA players, and they're not. They don't jump off the screen at you as elite talents. But at the same time, they're so good, and they're so good together, and they're so good at what they do. And like Braden Smith, they're so good at. You know what we were saying about Cooper Flagg, and when he's one-on-one, he doesn't know how to get to his spots or like what his spots even are or what he's even really trying to do out there. He's just kind of feeling it out in the moment. I think all three of those guys, and that's what makes Purdue good, and what makes each of them individually so good. Kaufman-Ren, Lawyer, and Braden Smith, at this point in their career, all three of them know exactly how good they are and exactly what they're good at. And they all know how to get to the – Fletcher Lawyer is a spot-up shooter. Fletcher Lawyer is a – when he wants to put it on the deck, he wants to go right. He wants to jump off of his wrong foot. He wants to I think he jumps off his wrong foot on purpose because it looks awkward and he can draw a foul. Mm-hmm. I really feel Fletcher Lawyer is one of the – I'm not going to say flopper. He's the top faller in college basketball. He's an all-time fall on the floor guy. But he's figured out that I will shoot wide open threes, not even wide open threes. I will catch and shoot threes, and I will, when I put it on the deck, I'm gonna go right, and I'm gonna get it into the body and then fade and then make it look like a foul as I'm throwing it off the glass and get an and one. That's what he does really well. Braden Smith, great ball screen point guard, in total control of the offense at all times. Great assist man. His shot is the fadeaway he's got the Chris Paul elbow jump shot. He comes off the ball screen, he gets to the elbow. He'll fade away when he's wide open.
Which is what we thought we were going to get when Edey left. It was like, hey, he's a merchant, he's an elbow jumper merchant.
Yeah.
Braden Smith has shown me more in the championship game and then these first couple games of the season than anyone else in the country. He won his matchup.
He did, yeah, he did win the matchup.
Is that the best 2 point guards in the country?
I think it is, yeah. I think but is Mark Sears even want to be a point guard? We can talk about that. Mm-hmm. We can talk about that too, by the way. Because I'm worried about the Mark Sears National Player of the Year campaign. But Braden Smith is also really good at the layup, the under the rim layup, the quick. I don't know how do you describe it? The scoop the scoop layup where it's like a timing thing because it's like don't jump and go up to lay it off to board slap even.
Right.
You got to get it up quick. Yeah. And then it's either gonna. I
feel like you're struggling to talk. How tall are you, Titus?
I'm 6'4".
6'4". You're a tall guy. Tall, especially coming out of high school. I'm sure you were taller than most of your matchups. I'm sure. Braden Smith's 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
The short white guards have to have that move where it's like you beat the shot blocker to the hoop.
Yeah.
Because if you do a normal layup, they're sending that shit.
If you go, you have to go. So you jump from far out, and then you reach out. He's on your hip. You reach out and throw it up quick.
You have to have a different way to finish it.
Versus most guys are taught get to the rim and then go up.
Right.
And he's figured out to go out and throw it up real quick.
That's a 6 footer from Indiana move. Right?
Yeah, yeah. But he's really good at it. And Kaufman-Ren's really good at those short rolls. I don't know. I'm impressed by that, and I think that's something I come back to with college basketball players specifically. Is the number one skill I think college basketball players can have is knowing how good they are. Is having the exact right amount of confidence, and I think that's something that Purdue coaches their guys very well at. Is they don't really ever try to do things they can't do, but at the same time they play with a ton of confidence because they know what they're good at, and they have the freedom and the green light to do the things they're good at. Mm-hmm. And Matt Painter's never going to yell at Braden Smith for shooting Robbie Hummel got on him at one point, but I was like, that's his shot. I was watching the game, and Robbie was like, I don't know why Braden Smith faded away there. I was like, Robbie, come on. You got to know this. This is what Braden does. Braden Smith gets to the elbow, and whether he's wide open and there's no one else on the floor, he'd be in an empty gym and he's gonna fade away because that's what he does. It's just he gets to the elbow and he knows that he can consistently hit that shot, so he just fades away.
How do you think Braden Smith's elbow to elbow drill goes? If you go elbow to elbow, 1-on-0, is he fading away every time?
He's just fading every single time. Yeah, I really think in an empty gym he just practices the fadeaway, which he should because he knows that in a game,
6 foot tall.
Yeah, he's gonna have a 6'5" guy guarding him. He can still get that shot off, but Anyway, that's the Purdue side of things. I'm not ready to say they're national title good yet, but I think if you're a Purdue fan, you're obviously very excited about what you saw on Friday, and
they have a big one tonight.
They do have a big one.
How's the environment at? Because everyone's saying the Mackey Arena environment was worth a lot of points here, and maybe that's why they beat a better team.
It was awesome. It was fucking. It felt like it was.
Should have gone. We talked about it.
It was fucking awesome.
How's Marquette's atmosphere? That's where they're at.
I don't know. I've never been. I've been to the arena. I've never been to. We played there. We played there in the 2010 tournament. Did they get a new arena? I don't think they did. I think it's still the same arena. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Who the hell knows? They change NBA arena names.
They play tonight
so often.
I don't have a name. At the Fiserv Forum.
Yeah, but they change NBA arena names so often that I don't know if
it's a new arena,
or just the same arena with a new name.
Marquette's favored tonight by 5.
Yeah, I mean that feels right. I think Marquette is a really good team, and Purdue hasn't lost a non-conference game in years, literally years. They win all of these games, so this will be the first real test. Not to move the goalpost and say Bama doesn't count, but I do think, and this is credit to the Purdue fans. I do think that Mackey Arena was worth a handful of points. I do think that Bama was very visibly rattled. Not like they were nervous, but they were just kind of like, what an atmosphere like that can do, even to a veteran team, isn't. You're not necessarily nervous going in and you're scared. But what you do is your feeling out process just takes longer. Mm-hmm. And I think I saw that with Mark Sears, where I said on this show heading into the season, I think Mark Sears is going to win National Player of the Year. Mark Sears was nowhere to be found for the first 11 minutes of this game, and he wasn't playing poorly. He was just, in my estimation, he was just feeling the game out. And that's the luxury of having an awesome atmosphere, is that I don't think Mark Sears was cowering in fear. I don't think he was shitting his pants. I don't think the moment was too big for him. I think Mark Sears was like, I'm going to feel this out, see where we're at, just kind of get a feel for the game, and then I'll pick my spots as they come to me. In a game like that, I don't know if 11 minutes is ideally you do your feeling out in a minute and a half. Mm-hmm. You don't spend 11 minutes feeling out what this game is going to become. And I felt like Bama was bricking shots that were wide open. They were trying, like you said, I don't think they thought Kaufman-Wren was going to be that good, and they're like, okay, so he scored on that one. I wonder if he'll do it again. Oh, okay, cool. So he scored on that one. I don't know. Is he really that? Oh, he scored on that one too. Oh, fuck, this guy's good. And by the time you kind of realize that he's actually good,
entire packed place, everyone going nuts.
Yeah, it's a little too late. So
hey, can Bama not shoot the ball?
They that was tough, dude.
It's tough. And here's the thing. So they shot 31%, 9 of 29. It made their season percentage go up.
It's a concern right now. It's a concern. And for me, I think the bigger concern, because I think if you're putting all your eggs in the 3-point shooting basket, as us Buckeye fans learned on Friday, at some point, and especially in a one-and-done NCAA tournament, at some point you are going to go cold and you're going to need something else to lean on. I think the defense is more worrisome for me. I think the fact that Trey Kaufman-Wren could just dominate, and that's no disrespect to him, but he is not a good enough player to dominate a team that has that much size and athleticism and has national title aspirations. He should not have been able to do that. And I think that's the bigger concern for me. I think offense in college basketball raises your ceiling and defense raises your floor, and that's probably true of any level of basketball. And I think with the NCAA tournament and the way college basketball is structured, the where your floor is at is actually very, very, very important. And I think in the NBA, in a 7-game series, your ceiling maybe becomes more important because you can afford. I mean, we've seen it with the Celtics, where it's they can have games where they're bricking threes, and it's fuck. I guess we just lost. I guess we're down 0-1 in this series, or we're it's 2-1. It should be 3-0. Whatever. They can throw a game or two away because they know eventually they're going to be the better team. But that's probably the bigger worry for me with Bama, because these nights are going to happen where you're not hitting shots. But you're right. So far this season, their offense is not humming like we thought it would be.
And we're going to find out real soon too. Here's their next 6 opponents: Illinois, number 25, Houston, number 7, Rutgers, Carolina, Creighton, and a TBD. That's a gauntlet.
That's an absolute fucking gauntlet, dude.
How do you think?
They have Illinois on Wednesday, or Houston in Vegas, Rutgers in Vegas, and then either Oregon or San Diego State or Creighton or Texas A&M in Vegas. And then at North Carolina, I'm just reiterating. Creighton at home, and then they go to North Dakota, which North Dakota's not great, but they're doing the Grant Nelson game that where they're just going back to his hometown. Yeah. But yeah, that's still just not a good spot to. That's not a. They should win easily, but that's like a wonky road trip for Bama to have to take is to go to North Dakota. That's a fucking gauntlet. That's a gauntlet. And then the SEC schedule.
And then they'll get into the SEC, which is going to be the deepest conference in the country.
Yeah. How's Bosco doing, you think?
What do you think the pulse is right now? Should we check in on him?
You want to call him?
National basketball analyst.
Should we call Bosco?
Let's check in on Bosco. We'll ask him how the landscape of college basketball is doing. You think he answers? He's a morning guy.
He is a morning guy. Yeah. Do you think he's expecting this, though? Is this going to be an ambush? Is he going to see this as a...
I think he'll... No.
What's up?
Bosco, what's going on?
Nothing. Driving into work. What's going on?
You're on the Titus show right now. Titus hasn't been able to watch much basketball the past couple days, so we were wondering if we could call you if anything notable's happened in the college basketball world.
Yeah, I mean, we lost to Purdue.
What's the vibes like? What's the pulse of the fan base right now?
I think you can lose 2 or 3 of these games. It's a 7-game run that's like second weekend type vibes. So you can lose 2 or 3 of these and still be okay. Then you're going to lose 2 or 3 in the SEC, maybe 3 or 4. We're going to have like 7 losses and still be really, really good.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a matter of fact.
I will say you do have to give credit to Nate Oates. You guys have a fucking gauntlet of a non-conference.
Yeah, it's insane.
We
play the best.
You do.
We push for the best.
You got to make shots though, right?
When are we going to see for a team that could shoot, Rico? What's going on? Why can't they shoot?
They can shoot. They shot 50% in the second half the other day.
They shot 31% on the game, and their 3-point percentage went up on the year, Bosco.
I know. We need young blood. We need young blood back.
Are we worried about Mark Sears, Bosco?
Why? That he's Jalen Brunson 2.0?
He disappeared for the first 11 minutes of that game.
He was getting involved. He got into the lane. He's working. He works it. He's not gonna. I mean, if you have a guy shooting all the time to start the game, he's gonna work it around.
I put my neck out because I was reading your propaganda. I was drinking up every ounce of propaganda you were serving. I said Mark Sears is gonna win National Player of the Year. You're not winning National Player of the Year when you're feeling it out, getting in the lane. Is that his case for National Player of the Year? I can't sell that to the public that Mark Sears is National Player of the Year because he gets in the lane.
We're not trying to win individual awards. We're trying to avoid the bus. I don't know if you heard. We're trying to avoid the bus.
Do you still feel good on the bus bet?
Not really. I mean, it's fucking – the tournament's a bear, dude. Tournament's a bear. But, yeah, I mean, they got the best coach. They got the best players. They're 11 deep. We'll be all right.
All right.
All right, well, we'll check in with you again.
I think they beat Illinois tomorrow.
All right, let's beat Illinois, and then maybe we'll check in after Houston in a week. All right, Bosco.
All right.
Later. That's our national basketball analyst, Rico Bosco. From where's he at? Is he in Tuscaloosa right now?
Yeah, I think so. He said he's driving into work, so I imagine they got practice here in an hour or so.
He is right though. Listen, it's going to be tough to hammer on Alabama when they are going up against the toughest non-conference schedule.
Yeah, and
he's right.
My case for Mark Sears winning National Player of the Year was rooted in. One, I think he's an awesome player, but two, they are going to play a lot of marquee games all season, and that stuff does matter. And Mark Sears is going to be on national television. He's going to be playing in the game of the day of college basketball a lot this season, to where he's going to have a lot of opportunities to. But he
got outplayed in his first opportunity.
He did.
People are going to remember Braden Smith was sweet, and Mark Sears.
But Mark Sears, this kid off the freshman, it's always freshmen. Every team's got a freshman. Every fucking good team has a freshman. The Phylon kid off the bench. Mark Sears was deferential a little bit, which is fine. Like I don't expect him to. I don't want him to be like James Harden in his prime, where it's just he brings the ball up and it's zero pass ISO ball. That's not what I expect out of Mark Sears. But
you can't when you're that deep too.
He was playing off the ball a little more than I thought he would, and I think that factored into my feeling that like he just wasn't. he wasn't like grabbing the game as much as I would have liked him to. Bosco's bringing up Jalen Brunson. I mean, when you would watch Jalen Brunson at Villanova, it was impossible to not notice Jalen Brunson. And if you knew nothing about Villanova's roster, you would watch Villanova games and you'd be like, that guy's really fucking good. That's a guy who's really fucking good.
You didn't feel that way?
They had a lot of those. They had, like, Mikal Bridges was the same way, but I feel like you could have watched the Purdue-Alabama game, and outside of a couple stretches, I don't think you walk away from that thinking like, yeah, Mark Sears is their best player. And that's the problem for me. And I think it's overreacting to say that's a concern after one game, but the reason I am saying it might be a concern is just that that is the type of game that a National Player of the Year caliber player is like, I understand what this moment is. I'm going to fucking grab this game by the balls and make it my own. And he was just kind of floating around out there for me.
I do want you to know, I don't know if I've told you yet, you spoke with so much conviction the day you gave that pick that I did put $100 on it.
Did you really?
So I am also a big Mark Sears fan right now.
Last thing on this game, and we can move on to other games. Jakari Harris starting for Purdue. I like the idea of it. I think he's a defensive guy. He's a defensive-minded guy. He's Glenn Robinson's son, which I think a lot of people don't realize. I don't know why this isn't like talked about more. I think Purdue people know it, but he's a legacy kid for Purdue. He's willing to do all the little things. I love all of that, but I'll be honest, I don't.
You don't see the.
I still don't really understand why he's starting. I don't understand why he's starting. I'm not trying to hate on the kid. I'm just trying to get inside Matt Painter's head and see what he's seeing.
Quite a stat line though.
Yeah. I mean,
no points, no assists. Again, 2 rebounds.
He's out there to
no shots.
To play defense. Right. I get that he's going into every that is what he's asked to do is like don't shoot, don't try to do anything except just make life hell for the best player on the other team. Especially if the best player is a guard. I guess he's not going to guard the best player if he's a big man, but that's what he's out there to do. At the same time, I don't think we need to start him.
Yeah.
I still like Miles Colvin more, even though Miles Colvin can have some boneheaded moments at times. All right, we can move on from that game. I think that's enough. Quick break to talk about DraftKings. The Emirates NBA Cup is here. You can win big getting in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Will LA repeat? We'll find out soon. There's sure to be rim-rattling slams and no-look passes that bring the crowd to their feet. Get behind your favorite players and the prop bets you can make on DraftKings, the home of NBA player props. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. First time, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Titus. That's code Titus, Titus, for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. What game are we going to talk about next? Wisconsin, Arizona. I think that was the other big result on Friday. Big W for Peacock that they get the two games of the weekend. Wisconsin scores 103 points against Arizona. John Tonji comes out of nowhere. He's the transfer that Wisconsin picked up in the portal, and I think they had high hopes for him. I think nationally there's not a soul at the national level that was like observing the transfer portal, and when John Tonji decided he was going to Wisconsin, was like, oh shit, that's a massive pickup for the Badgers. That you know what that guy is? That's a guy who's going to score 40 points against a top 10 team at some point this year. So in that regard, it sort of felt like he came out of nowhere. But I got to be honest, the only story for this game for me is, and I am not saying the refs were bad. I'm saying the refs were bad. I'm not saying Wisconsin cheated. This isn't like if you're a Wisconsin fan, you have to give this game back. That's not fair that you took this from Arizona. I'm just saying as a neutral observer, I was like, this is disgusting basketball. It is a parade to the free throw line. Wisconsin is developing a reputation as being free throw merchants, which, I'm going to say the same thing to Wisconsin fans that I got into this fight with Purdue fans last year. I'm going to get ahead of it with Wisconsin fans. In no way, shape, or form am I blaming you. Am I blaming your players? I'm not saying they shouldn't do this. I am saying simply as a guy who it is my full-time job to watch these basketball games, and I watch a lot of these basketball games, and I get the buffet before me. I can sample a lot of different conferences, a lot of different teams, all that sort of thing. I am feeling the winds blowing towards me not loving Wisconsin basketball this year. And it sucks because Wisconsin is playing faster than they usually do. Wisconsin is shooting more threes than they usually do. Wisconsin is playing a looser, like more freedom of more offensive freedom, where it's like step into shots confidently, and they're giving guys the green light in a way that they kind of haven't until the last couple years. There is a fundamental change in what Wisconsin basketball is, and the days of Dick Bennett and Bo Ryan are seemingly in the past. But having said all that, Tate, I'm worried that Wisconsin might be free throw merchants.
And well, here, let me say this: they can be free throw merchants, but also one key thing, they're making their free throws. They were 41 of 47, and then last night they played a much closer game, but they were 27 of 32. So it's one thing to get to the free throw line, but if you're going to shoot 87% from the free throw line, I got to tip my cap a little bit.
But that's why I think this isn't going away.
What?
That's why I think, because I any other team I'd be like, man, that was such a weird game against Arizona, but the refs were whistle happy, and don't apologize for getting it. They were 41 for 47 they scored 41 points from the free throw line, and you shouldn't apologize, and you should.
I have to say this. So Arizona shot 40 free throws. The difference was that they only made 28 of them.
Yeah.
So in that type of wonky game, you can talk about the body of Wisconsin and how they're getting in line every time. In this specific game, they made their they both got to the free throw line 40 times. They made theirs.
But then last night, they are in a struggle with Rio Grande Valley, who's apparently going to be a good team.
They're going to give someone troubles. Like it's going to be like, fuck.
They played Creighton well.
Creighton close. They were down 5 to Nebraska late. And then last night they led for the majority of the game against Wisconsin.
Wisconsin did not score a field goal for the final, like 4 something. They said it on the broadcast, and I should have wrote it down. It was like the last 5 minutes of the game, they did not make a basket. And it wasn't because it wasn't because they were bricking. It was because they were just getting fouls called and then going to the line. And again, and this is important, Wisconsin fans, I need you to listen to me because I'm going to lose my mind.
I think they're not listening. I can already sense that they're not listening.
And you're going to think I'm mad at your team. Purdue fans did it last year with Zach Edey when I was like, listen, I'm not saying he should not do this or it's Purdue's fault. I'm saying as a neutral observer, I'm out. I'm not enjoying this. I'm not enjoying watching these games. It was a tough watch. It was just a tough watch. That's all I'm saying. You should draw the fouls. You should, if you know that you're going to make 90% of your free throws, of course you should try to get to the line as often as you can. But me I have a whole basketball buffet in front of me. I don't know if I'm going back for seconds for Wisconsin basketball, if that's what they become.
There has to be some sort of excitement around. I get it. The free throws are a thing. But also, this Wisconsin team is averaging 89 points a game.
Yeah.
Since when does Wisconsin do that?
No, I do love that part. I love like John Blackwell, John Tanji, Klesmit is stepping into shots. It is like I said it's a fundamental change. My idea of what Wisconsin basketball is basically shoot when you're wide open. Like they work the ball until they're wide open and then they put up shots. So to see Wisconsin guys,
which technically you are at the free throw line.
Yeah, you are. You are wide open.
Are open.
But to see Wisconsin's guards stepping into shots confidently, and they're not necessarily open, but it's also not like they have a hand in their face. They're like semi-challenge shots. That is nice. It's a nice change, and I like that part of it. And I like that Tanji's got a scorer's mentality. Tanji and Blackwell specifically, those two guys are they have scorer's mentality, but they also have. I'm just gonna put my head down. They also. Free scouting for the rest of the Big Ten. Those two dudes are going to push off every time they drive the ball. Mm-hmm. Every time they drive, they're pushing off, and the refs aren't going to call it. And I have a feeling Wisconsin fans are going to hate me by the end of the year. I have a feeling they're going to hate me, and I hate that, but I just can't. I can't. You know this, Tate. I have a disease. I have to call it like I
call it as you see it.
I have a disease.
How do you become a free throw merchant though? Because like last night, the discrepancy was 32 to 11. Yeah. What's going on to get you 3 times as many free throws?
They do drive the ball and they seek contact. That is a concentrated effort. But and again, that's what's going to be so hard. Is like I think you should coach that, but
you just don't like
it's a tough watch. It's a tough watch.
I see some
to watch a close game where Wisconsin's on upset alert, Tate, and you throw the game on and you're like, oh, this is crazy. Is Rio Grande Valley, and I'm not cheering for them to pull the upset or not. I don't know. I'm just a neutral observer. That's like. there could be an upset in college basketball. Let's lock in. Let's see what happens. And the last 5 minutes take 45 minutes, and it's a parade. And it's like, do what you got to do to win the game. But boy, it took the wind out of it. It took the excitement out of.
You play to win the game, Wisconsin. I still got your back.
Out of the moment for me.
The refs were bad Friday, though.
They were so bad, dude.
When I look up and there's 12 minutes to go in the first half, and Tanji cuts across the lane, ball in the corner, and he gets busted as a cutter, and they're like,
yeah,
and they're like, double bonus with 12 minutes to go. You got to just let that one go, boys.
I know. We were. I mean, not to do the back in my day, we used to play, old school Big Ten basketball, but that was literally how you were coached. Was you put a forearm in a guy's chest when he cuts across the lane. That was how you were coached, and that's not to say they never called those fouls, but that wasn't just how it was coached at Ohio State. I'll tell you that much. That's how it was coached at Michigan State. That's how it was coached at Wisconsin. That's how it was coached all across the Big Ten, and some would say it's good to get that out of the Big Ten. That's what made the Big Ten struggle in March, was that you were playing football as the rest of the country's trying to play a more finesse brand of basketball and get up and down a little bit. But that's the part that's tough. Is like you take the free throws, you make them, and you take the win, and you move on. But I just hope that's not Wisconsin all season.
Yeah.
I hope that's not Wisconsin all season. I hope it's, but it feels like it's gonna be. It feels like that. I'll say this about Arizona though. I don't want to overreact to that game. They have Duke on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I will overreact to that game. You have Duke at home on Friday. It's a must win in this regard. It's a must win for me to take you seriously as a national title contender. And there's going to be a lot of it's going to take a lot of undoing if they lose to Duke, and that's saying a lot because I think Duke is national title good. But if Arizona, who does have, talking about Mackey Arena, Arizona, the McHale Center is one of the great spots in college basketball, and they have Duke coming into town. I can only imagine it's going to be absolutely bonkers on Friday. They have to win that game. They have to win the game for me to take them serious. Coming off of a loss against Wisconsin, that you should not have. They shouldn't have lost the game, but then the way the game unfolded, it's like, you just kind of shrug your shoulder. Everybody's in foul trouble. They're going to the free throw line every fucking 10 seconds. It just like kind of wasn't basketball. And for a team like Arizona that likes to get up and go and push tempo and get into a rhythm, all these stoppages of play do not allow that to happen. That's fine. It's a one-off game. Flush it. Move on.
You need to see something.
But we got to see something against Duke because
I need to see something out of Caleb Love.
The rest of their non-conference, now they do have the UCLA game, but they don't have like the toughest non-conference schedule in the world. They are in the best conference in college basketball, so they can play their way back into my good graces. And in no way am I saying like if Arizona loses to Duke, they're a bubble team or shit like that. I'm saying I'm drawing a hard line of like, can you win a national title? Can you not? And I need to see something Friday for me to believe in Arizona. And it's very early in the season, but it's just that these opportunities don't come along all that often. And when you're at home in front of a good team coming off a loss, you gotta.
That's a hell of a 12 versus 17 matchup. Duke at Arizona.
Yeah.
12 versus 17.
Yeah.
Holy
crazy.
smokes.
Yeah, those are two probably top 10 teams that are not ranked in the top 10 right now, but might be by year's end. I am worried. I'm going to be completely honest. I am worried if Caleb Love is a winning basketball player. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest because Caleb Love still to this day, right now, if you ask people to tell me something about Caleb Love, they will bring up the 2022 Final Four. They will bring up that he and the Iron Five of North Carolina ended Coach K. And for that reason, you would say that you have to say that he can play winning basketball. We saw him go to the national championship game and lead Kansas by 20 in the title game. At the same time, the more you've seen him since then, the more I'm wondering, was that less that like Caleb Love had his fingerprints on this run of beating Duke in Cameron Indoor Stadium and then going to the Final Four, and it was more that they were just simply supernatural forces at play. That this was Coach K's final season, and that's really what was going on, Tate. I don't know.
I will say this. The coach in me says, if there is someone that is described as he can shoot you into games, but he can also shoot you out of games, that's not someone I want being my focal point of the team. And he 2 of 13 from the field, 0 of 6 from 3 against Wisconsin. That's one of the top 10 players in the country.
Right.
That's the person that's supposed to lead in the Final Four.
It's tough, and I think this is why Friday's so big for me, because this feels like a Caleb Love game where he will score 25 points, and he's playing Duke, and he's not at Carolina anymore, but he still, I assume, has that the Carolina blood pumping through his veins when he sees the Duke jerseys, and he's front of his home crowd. Didn't play well against Wisconsin. I see this as a big spot for him, and I'm hoping he can step up.
That's a big spot for Duke too.
It's a big spot for Duke.
That's a ball game right there.
It's a great game. We got a lot of great games this week. Gonzaga San Diego State last night was kind of a good game. I don't know. There's a lot of fouls in that one too, but I mean,
Gonzaga held a comfortable, healthy lead throughout. Is Gonzaga the best team in the country?
Gonzaga's really fucking good. That was a good win for Gonzaga because it was a physical game. It was disjointed. Kind of what I'm saying about Arizona, Wisconsin. It wasn't quite as pronounced as that, but it had the same sort of feel that like Gonzaga is a team that wants to get into a rhythm, and it suits Gonzaga well if a basketball game doesn't have whistles for minutes at a time, and you can just get up and down, and there's no stoppages of play. That's what Gonzaga wants. And when there are a lot of stoppages and there's a lot of fouls being called, and it's a physical game, and you're on the road in a tough environment, and San Diego State is not great right now. I think they have pieces and they're young, and maybe they can become something by the end of the year. So, this isn't quite what we expect out of a San Diego State team, but it's still a tough environment and a very physical team. And I think that's a huge win for Gonzaga to keep San Diego State at arm's length on the road, tough environment, and a game where it's like not really played on Gonzaga's terms, to be completely honest. It was sort of played like San Diego State liked that style of game way more than Gonzaga did, and Gonzaga still beat them pretty comfortably.
Nembhard and Ike are as good of a 1-2 punch right now as there are in the country. I think we're starting to see some, not separation, because it's not like the Dukes and the Arizonas of the world are just out of the national title race, but I think we're starting to see some really teams rise to the top that look like they're the best team in the country. Yeah. Gonzaga looks really good. Auburn,
I think Gonzaga has a case.
UConn looks really good.
Auburn has a case. Gonzaga, Auburn, UConn. I still think Houston's in the mix, even though they lost. I know they lost to Auburn, but that's a game where the ball bounces differently.
Maui will tell us a lot. I'm sorry. That's a fact that I have to say, Titus.
That hurts.
That is a fact that I have to say.
That hurts. Yeah, Maui will tell us a lot. It'll be good. It'll be a good Maui Invitational. You know what really hurts is next year's Maui Invitational is not that good.
I know you don't want to go to next year's.
Next year, but I'm gonna go because I go every year except for this year.
Yeah.
The Mark Titus Show is brought to you by Jack Black. Jack Black just came out with 4 new scents of their #1 deodorant, Pit Boss. Their deodorant is the best at controlling odor and wetness no matter what I'm doing. And now I can have my cleanser, lotion, and antiperspirant all in my favorite scent, which is a total game changer. Jack Black's original Pit Boss deodorant is a top seller, and now you can get the same reliable odor and wetness protection in 4 new masculine scents. Big Sur offers a refreshing aroma that mixes marine accord and amber. Blue Midnight features adventurous notes of black pepper and lavender. Jack Zen presents a grounding blend of bamboo and violet. Jack Black was founded over 20 years ago with the goal of offering men's body care products that were just as effective as women's body care products. Their commitment to superior skincare has made Jack Black, according to Circana, the #1 men's body care brand by total dollar sales. I've been using Jack Black for years, even before they were paying me to say that I was using them. In fact, all the best pictures I've ever had when I had my hair long and my hair looked great. If you've ever seen a picture of me and you're like, damn, his hair looks kind of great, I used Jack Black shampoo before that picture was taken. And that is a fact. That is a stone cold fact. If you want simple, effective products that do what they say they're going to do, you need Jack Black. Head to getjackblack.com/Titus and use code Titus for 10% off your order and free shipping. Once again, that's getjackblack.com/Titus for 10% off your order plus free shipping. And make sure to use my promo code Titus so they know I sent you. What else? Oh, Marquette, Maryland game. Cam Jones is fucking awesome, and when we put out our top 10 players of the year of the preseason, what was that? What would you call that? What did we do?
Those are top
10
Dukes and Cody
players?
text us and give us your top 10 players in the
top 10 players going into the season.
Yeah.
I'm not good at preseason shit because I'm like, this top 10 players based on what? And they're just like, preseason. I'm like, there's no data.
Yeah.
They're like, just give us preseason. And I was like, yeah, but by definition, there's nothing's happened yet. How do you do that? And they're like, just do your best guess.
I will say this, Dukes, if you're listening, I do want to update that at some point because throughout
I would
4
update.
games now.
Well, yeah, I'm more comfortable updating it after I've seen him play. It's just it's you're taking your best guess. Preseason rankings and preseason anything doesn't make any sense, but that's the job we're in.
And it was tweeted, no
give
offense,
people fodder.
after the first 2 games, and it's like, hey guys, Kalkbrenner just put up 50, and you've
That
got
is
him
true.
at 10.
That
It's
is
like, well,
true.
I'd like to redo that.
That is true. That's a good point. You said it, not me. That what'd you say that Dukes was very
No, I'm
with
Team Dukes.
Okay.
Dukes, if you're listening, I am Team Dukes. Still am.
I will always be Team Dukes. I fucking love that guy. But I remember Marquette fans being upset that Cam Jones wasn't on the list, and I didn't forget about Cam Jones. I know how good Cam Jones is, but at the same time, I guess I forgot about Cam Jones and how good Cam Jones is.
That's why we need to do it now.
I knew how good Cam Jones was, but he's been even better than I realized he was so far in the season. He's so smooth with it, can score in any context, in any way, at all 3 levels, in any. How do you say it? Like he's a good shooter. He's a good he can
Finisher.
He could finish at the rim and with either hand. He's got a good floater package. He's got a good. He is to me maybe the best pure scorer in college basketball, and I still have to let the season unfold and watch more guys and give it a little more time. But he is on. I'm comfortable putting Cam Jones on lead the nation in scoring watch.
Really?
Nation's leading score watch, because I think the thing's working in his favor too. Now, before I say the thing's working in his favor, I will say the thing not working in his favor is he plays at Marquette in the Big East, and more often than not, Edie was an exception, but more often than not, your leading scorer is going to be a guy that's playing at a small school that's just chucking 25 shots.
Right now your leading scorer is from UC Davis,
College
of Charleston, and UMass.
Right. But the thing working in Cam Jones' favor, he is an unbelievably naturally gifted scorer, but he's also on a good team. He has guys around him, which I think helps. Some would argue that to lead the nation in scoring, you need to be like the only guy that can do anything, and they just funnel the ball to you and you take all the shots. I actually think having Stevie Mitchell and Joplin and Ben Gold who can knock down shots, so you have to honor him. If he's stretching the floor a little bit, I actually think all that works in Cam Jones' favor, and I think having teammates who are really, really good but are also obviously deferential to him and will give him the ball at the same time. I think it's like the perfect combination that I think Cam Jones is on national leading scorer watch.
Is he on national?
He's officially on my. I think he's national player of the year watch as well. Yeah. Because I think this Marquette team is very good. Now we'll learn more.
I'm really
Purdue.
excited.
It's going to be a great game.
Really excited for tonight.
Going to be a great game. But I'm worried about the Kurtz. I'm worried about me saying all this, and Cam Jones is going to stink. I think the most likely scenario, given all I've said on the show, is that Jakari Harris just puts the clamps on Cam Jones, and then Purdue fans are like, "You dumb bitch." And Jakari Harris, like Cam Jones is 3 for 17.
Yeah.
Jakari Harris has 1 rebound and 0 points, 0 shots taken.
Player of the game.
And
Purdue wins by 9.
Yeah, and they're like, "You dumb bitch." That's why he's starting. But yeah, Cam Jones is too smooth with it. It's not just that he's scoring. It's not just the box score after the game. It's not just that Marquette wins and then he has 28 and 18 in the second half. If you actually watch him go about his business, he just makes it look so easy, and he's so smooth with it that I think that he could win National Player of the Year. Yeah, and I think that he could lead the nation in scoring, and I think a lot of his National Player of the Year candidacy will hinge on how good the Marquette team is. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's going anywhere in terms of scoring. He's been this way his whole career. Even when he wasn't the guy, he was still coming off the bench for Marquette and scoring in bunches. So he's just got that in his DNA, and I fucking love watching him play. So I'm sorry to Marquette fans for not seeing this coming. But at the same time, what can you do? What can you do? I just remember him as a freshman when he was a bucket as a freshman, and he would have games. I gotta pull this up. I don't want to just talk out of my ass, but I remember there were games as a freshman where he didn't average that many points, but he had 18 at Creighton in a 1-point loss. He only averaged 7 points a game as a freshman, but he had 18 at Creighton and then turned around and scored 19 in 17 minutes against Georgetown. He played 17 minutes against Georgetown and 19 points. Yeah, he's just a bucket. He's always been a bucket. I think he could lead the nation in scoring, and I should have seen that coming. I like this Maryland team too, by the way.
Your boy Derek Queen.
Derek Queen's fucking
He's
awesome.
a hooper.
Jacoby Gillespie, who I didn't know anything about, he was showing me something too. I like that 1-2 punch for them. I think they have a situation that I was kind of speaking with Purdue earlier. They're like a worse version of Purdue, and that like I think they're going to be able to trust like those two guys. I don't know what the rest of their roster looks like, but they do have two good players, and at the very least. And I don't think they're going anywhere. And I think if you're a Maryland fan, having NCAA tournament aspirations is obviously very realistic. And I think Derek Queen is the real deal.
Yeah,
he's the fucking truth, and he's going to be a monster all season. So,
yeah, looking at their schedule, they're going to rack up a bunch of wins. They need to get a couple in the Big Ten, and I think they're right there with like the Ohio State, the Michigans, the Marylands. I think right there in the upper middle of the Big Ten that can make the tournament.
Yeah, so far what I've seen from the Big Ten, Purdue. It's playing out so far about like I expected, in that Purdue is the best. Indiana's maybe right there with them. Indiana hasn't played much of a schedule. Now Indiana has Atlanta's coming up. They're playing in the battle for Atlantis next week. We'll know more about them. I think IU starts with Louisville in their first game, and then if they win that, they'll probably play Gonzaga. So we'll find out quickly how good Indiana is. So far, they haven't really played much of a schedule, and we've talked about the Hoosiers a little bit and some of the concerns with them, but I still think if you're doing the Big Ten hierarchy, it's Purdue and Indiana in the top tier, and then it's just a big old jumbled mess after that. And Illinois fans will say, "What about us? We should be in the top tier." Maybe there are other schools that probably not. It's probably just Illinois fans. They're probably the only ones that feel like they should be in the top tier. But yeah, the Big Ten is probably going to play out exactly
how you said.
Exactly like we thought. The one exception, like I think Purdue and IU could be both of them, could be one, could ultimately end up being neither. I think those are probably at the end of the day going to be the only hope the Big Ten has.
I think
Final
there's
Four,
a little
national
more of
title
a gap than we thought there would be. We kind of thought like, hey, 1 through 7 could interchange. We thought Purdue at the top. It looks like 1 and probably 1 and 2.
Probably a gap. There's probably a gap between Purdue and IU. I don't want to get ahead of myself though, because IU hasn't had their chance to play. Like Purdue, frankly, before the Alabama game was not screaming like we are the class of the Big Ten. Like I wasn't watching Purdue and I was like, God damn, these guys are way better than everybody. And then they played Alabama and you're like, all right, now I have to respect that.
Right.
Indiana hasn't had that marquee game yet, and they'll get it in Atlantis, and then
you're right.
we'll learn a lot more.
Louisville in the first game of the tournament, and then the winner would play Gonzaga.
Yeah, we'll learn a lot more after that. Let's talk about the Buckeyes real quick.
I thought we were going to go. What a Friday night for the Big Ten, first of all. Wisconsin won. Purdue won. Do we have to talk Buckeyes?
I'll make one more point, and then we probably should talk Buckeyes. But Wisconsin beating Arizona and Purdue beating Alabama, I meant to say this when we were talking about those games earlier. At the end of this season, Tate, when Joe Lunardi is appearing on your televisions and he's saying the Big Ten is an 11-bid league, and the Big Ten is, the deepest conference in college basketball, and every other person nationally is like, how the fuck do we allow this to happen every year? How can I look at the college basketball landscape, realize that the Big Ten has zero shot at winning a national title, and somehow this league is still getting all the bids? This makes no fucking sense. I am not here to tell you that I agree with this. I am not here. I obviously am a Big Ten guy. I consume more Big Ten basketball than any other league. I try to be fair about it, though. I mean, some people might roll their eyes at that. When the Big Ten sucks, I'm not afraid to say it sucks. When I think it's good, I'll say it's good. But I'm just explaining why this happens. It happens because of games like Purdue beating Alabama and because of games like Wisconsin beating Arizona, that if Alabama goes on to be the class of the SEC, the entire Big Ten Conference has that ace up their sleeve that they're like, our team beat your best team.
Beat the best team.
To beat the best team in your conference. And so now any team that beats Purdue now has like a transitive win over Bama, and then the committee looks at that shit. That is how it works. It's like if say like Ohio State goes into Mackey, I'm not saying it's going to happen. We go into Mackey Arena, beat Purdue.
That's a huge.
That's something Bama couldn't do.
Correct.
And you go into Wisconsin, you beat Wisconsin. That's something Arizona couldn't do. Now Arizona, I don't think is going to be the class of the Big 12. They could be in the end. The Big 12 is fucking stacked though. So yeah, that's a point I want to make, is like these games early matter late, and at the time we don't want to overreact, quote unquote, and we're like kind of still feeling out the landscape of. But that when that time comes, just remember games like that as to why this happens. And again, I'm not saying it should happen that way, but it will, because Alabama, I do think, will still end up being, if not the best team, then top 2 or 3 team in the SEC. And Purdue kind of having their way with them is going to be a data point that matters.
It makes sense. I do think it's important to note. So the Big Ten had 3 big games on Friday night. They won the 2 home games. Wisconsin and Purdue were both at home. Ohio State did go to A&M against SEC school. Didn't look very good.
Yeah, Maryland was at home too.
Maryland was at home,
but they lost to Marquette. But yeah, we did not. But the difference I would say is Ohio State is not the class of the Big Ten, and Texas A&M is not the class. But when you have top of the conference, Purdue, Bama,
that's true.
That becomes like the trickle down from that is, it becomes a talking point. And whether it should or not, I don't know. I'm just telling you that's the way this shit works. Quick break to talk about our friends at Cars.com. Want to find a trustworthy dealer with dealership reviews from shoppers like you? Cars.com offers the latest research, shopping tools, and dealership reviews to help every shopper find the perfect car. Shop by monthly payment or filter by features to find the cars that fit your budget and needs. Car shopping can be an absolute hassle, can be a pain in the ass. Throughout the years, I think back on cars that I've bought, and boy, most of the experiences are miserable. It is not a fun undertaking. A lot of you out there probably need a new car, and you're putting it off for that exact reason. You don't want to go through the headache, and you're just saying, I'm going to get everything I can out of this old thing because I just simply do not want to deal with the headache that is the car buying process. I got great news for you. Cars.com makes it easy. You can get a new car right now. Visit Cars.com and start exploring your next possibility today. Buckeyes, though. We got a little 3 happy early in the season. We were hitting every. I'm not saying we shouldn't shoot it. I'm saying we as fans got a little comfortable with Junie Mobley's never gonna miss, and our guys are just gonna hit. We're just gonna shoot 33s a game and make at least 12 of them every single game.
Yeah, I don't want to say I was right, but I was 100% right after the first Ohio State game. And if Ohio State is legit, I will be the first to let you know. I will be screaming from the rooftops how you can't beat us. If you watch that back, I wasn't the most optimistic because I said, guys, you can't shoot over 50% the entire season. We found out on Friday night what a 3-point shooting team that's not making threes, that is really not very strong in the front court, looks like, especially on the road when we're not getting the whistle. And it was never close. Yeah. So
it was never close. It was you're right. I think the concerns we had, even we were both there. I was just allowing my emotions to get the best of me, but I was right there with you. I remember being concerned about do we have a guy who can get to the rim consistently? We're concerned about the front court play. This coming out of the Texas game, I mean. But at the same time, I just had so much fun, and it was so unexpected for us to lead wire to wire against Texas that I was like, "Fuck it, dude. I'm going to allow myself to feel things again."
I think you hit the nail on the absolute head, though. You said we were going to struggle in the paint, both getting to the rack and also with our front court. But shooting the ball over 50% covers all your wounds.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden we don't shoot the ball 50%, and it was very evident on Friday night. I don't know. My biggest concern right now isn't even our guards getting to the hoop. We were duped with Aaron Bradshaw and Sean Stewart. Is there a reason? We were duped, Titus.
I mean, we were, but we were also they are who we thought they were. I'll say that.
I had a come to Jesus moment watching this game Friday night, and I was like, maybe there's a reason they both entered the transfer.
Yeah, there is. And Duke fans and Kentucky fans are like, if you were duped, you just weren't paying attention to who they were at Kentucky.
Anytime you put a number 3 ranked player in the portal in his class, I'm like, holy shit.
And we got him from Kentucky and Duke.
Thank you.
No, they were always going to be projects. But yeah, you were hopeful that they would take the leap. They would, just develop, and then you're still hopeful they will, but yeah, early returns are not great.
Let me say this:
early returns not great.
Aaron Bradshaw, I'm talking specifically to you. I prefer my 7'1" dudes to try and score in the fucking paint. Instead, Aaron Bradshaw, I don't know if you think shooting threes and making three. The key to being a 7'1" shooter that gets drafted in the NBA is you have to fucking make them.
You have to make them.
You have to make them.
But that's the problem, is that he wants to demonstrate that he can make them.
That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to demonstrate that he can make threes, but the problem is he cannot.
He's got to get those makes on tape. And how do you get makes on tape?
You shoot 12.
You shoot them.
Yeah, 12 again.
You get them up. You
That's true. Yeah, they're not showing on your highlight reel all you're missing. You gotta get some makes.
Ohio State we have to find a way to get easy buckets,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's going to be a problem all season. If it's not going to come from Bradshaw posting up or just grabbing offensive rebounds and putting them in, if it's not going to be Sean Stewart at the rim, I think the most likely candidate is still Micah Parrish, just like doing a little 2010 Evan Turner situation where ET would just kind of play kind of ISO ball, but he would just back his way down to the paint almost, and Evan was just so good at like finding his way to that like 7-foot little pull up jump where he just rise up over guys and hit a little floater over them, or obviously drive to the bucket and get layups and stuff. I think Micah Parrish has got to be that guy for us. I think he's got to be the guy that like gets into the paint. If his primary defender or secondary defender is much taller than him, much more like he knows he's going to get a shot block, you kick it out to a shooter. If not, you have to confidently just rise up and from like 7 feet away and just hit like these little baby hooks on smaller defenders. And you just got to put pressure on the defense in that way, because I think if we just become a drive and kick team and they come off a ball screen and they went under the ball screen, so we're going to shoot it, which we should, and I don't want that to go away. I want guys to confidently shoot threes, and that is modern basketball. I just don't want that to be the bread and butter, or it's going to be an up and down.
Yeah, you're going to have games where you go 8 of 30 and you just never play close.
I still think we can be good defensively too, and I think that's maybe there's like an adjustment there where it's like, you know what, fuck it, let's just become like a defensive minded team. Let's just muck it up.
How's that going?
I think we have the length and the athleticism.
We do,
but
we don't have the toughness.
I don't know if we have the toughness.
I think we're
and I don't want that either.
I just
don't want.
I come across that I'm so anti Aaron Bradshaw, and that's good because I am. If I was coaching a college basketball team right now, we always talk about how guards win. The more I've watched, though, I need someone that can bang. I need someone that you can throw the ball in. Watching Purdue the other night, someone you can throw the ball in the paint and score. We don't have that. They do.
Give me Devin Royal at the 5.
You want that?
I want Devin Royal at the 5. I want to play small ball. I want Devin Royal because Devin Royal. I think I want Devin Royal at the 5. He can bang. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He can step out and shoot threes. I trust him shooting threes way more than Bradshaw. I'll say that much.
He rebounds substantially better in my opinion.
He grabs boards. He did foul out, which sucks. He shouldn't do that.
Shouldn't do that. I also need to see more out of Michi Johnson.
Yeah,
like that was he's coming home. I'm super excited. Right now he's averaging 7 and 4. That's not 4 assists. That's 4 turnovers.
4 turnovers.
That's not good.
It's not good at all. Yeah,
I just think I was higher on our transfer portal. I think Diebler does a great job.
I don't want to say I was because it's easy to hindsight's 2020, but my fear with Michi when he came back, I like Michi a lot. He's a very good player. I want the ball in Bruce Thornton's hands as much as possible, and I want Bruce Thornton running the offense, and I trust Bruce Thornton. He's our calm down guy. He's the guy we were talking about with Duke. Like Duke doesn't really have that guy. Bruce Thornton is that guy for Ohio State. Is he the top, let's keep everything calm guy in the country? Probably not, but he is that guy for us.
Correct.
I want him to have the ball in his hands as much as possible. Michi Johnson, however, wants the ball in his hands as much as possible.
And there's only one.
And there is only one ball, and that's going to be a problem throughout the season. But we're going to make the tournament. We have to make the tournament. I think we have a tournament team. We make the tournament. That's not all I'm asking, but that's
a great start.
I've talked about when I used to do these shows solo, I would talk to TJ about this all the time as it pertained to Rutgers and then it pertained to Ohio State as well. Ultimately, all you want in a college basketball season is for the ride to last as long as possible. And you just want a ticket for the ride. And every team goes into the season, especially power conference teams and teams with like absurd NIL budgets and all that, and they lie to themselves and they say we want to go to the Final Four, we want to win the national championship. That's what we expect in this program. That's what we're working towards. That's not true. As a fan, really all you want is you can look back on seasons fondly if it was just a fun ride, and you just want to have a ticket on the ride for as long as possible. And that's kind of all I want. And I'll readjust expectations as the season progresses. I think we're a tournament team. I think we can win in the tournament. I think we are going to be a team that demonstrates all season that we can beat anybody on any given night, but we are going to have some stinkers like we had at Texas A&M as well. So
I'll say this, we are going to come out of our non-conference. We should win our next 4. We play Campbell, Evansville, Pitt, and Green Bay. We need Texas to make sure that they keep winning. Because at the
Yeah.
end of it, we need that win.
That could be a huge win. That could be a huge win for us. And we need Texas A&M to keep winning because if Texas A&M falls off, like they kind of did last year, Texas A&M, they had that stretch in January or February. I remember that conference stretch where Texas A&M was just losing every fucking game, and they ended up making the tournament. But I don't think they had as good of a season as they expected to last year. Yeah, we need them to meet expectations as well. So, all right, what else before we go? Virginia, big win over Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't even on my radar at all, which is kind of sad. We got done recording the show before the weekend, and I go out and I'm eating lunch, and Jake Malasek, who's the resident Virginia fan here at Barstool, just comes up to me and he's like, "Big one against Villanova," and I was like, "I'll be goddamned, I guess it is." I was like, I go, we just did a show where we were breaking down all the great games.
Didn't even talk about it.
And there's a game going on between two teams that have won national championships in the last 5 years, and didn't even cross my mind to talk about.
There was a time not too long ago where Villanova versus Virginia would have been probably your favorite game of the season. Mm-hmm. And you didn't even know they were playing.
That was when they played. Dante DiVincenzo had a dunk tip at the Big Ragu. I think that was the Big Ragu nickname exploded. I think Gus Johnson was on the call. Maybe I'm conflating two different moments, but my memory of it is that Dante DiVincenzo had the tip in at the buzzer to beat Virginia, and Gus Johnson was just yelling "Big Ragu" over.
Great name. Hey, 2 and 3 for Kyle Neptune. Start a pool where we predict what day he gets fired.
Yeah,
everyone on the show gives a date.
You want to do that?
I say so.
We should do. Okay, all right. Let me look at it.
Check out the schedule, Cody and TJ, real quick, and everyone give a date on what day Kyle Neptune
will get fired. All right, Villanova. Let me find their schedule. I need the schedule because Villanova.
They do have.
Holy smokes! They got Penn, Maryland, Rider, Cincinnati at home, Fairleigh Dickinson, Seton Hall, Creighton, Butler. I'm trying to think of what. Is it DePaul? Is it January 5th?
It'd be Sunday morning.
Is it they lose at Butler and then lose to DePaul at home?
Is that what you want?
I don't know, man. And then you got UConn. And then they're staring down the barrel of UConn, St. John's, and Xavier.
That let me say this. That's kind of what we did to Diebler last year, and thank God he came out alive. I think it stinks when you fire your coach and it's like, hey, by the way, you played Purdue.
You have
UConn
a fucking gauntlet. I don't know, man. I think Villanova, to a fault, is like nice. That's the only way I could put. Like, I think they know they're gonna fire him, but they're just kind of like they want to do right. I think they're a program that wants to do right by guys.
I have my date written down.
So I feel like he's gonna last longer than you think, because I mean he's already lasting longer than he should. If this was like the NBA, he would be fired already. Or if this was the NFL, he would have been fired immediately. I kind of want to do, but that hinges on DePaul beating them, and I don't know if DePaul is going to beat them. If DePaul beats them, it's January 5th. If they lose to DePaul at home, he's getting fired January 5th.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Fuck. I'm gonna stay longer. I'm going to say, all right, I got it. It is going to be. I'm going to do the other. I'm going to do at DePaul. I'm going to say DePaul is going to beat them on Wednesday, February 5th.
So do you want? That's a late night game. You want Thursday the 6th?
Give me Thursday, February 6th.
Okay.
I think they lose 6th. At DePaul, and it's February, and at that point, Villanova's like, all right, we can make the change and get ready for the next recruiting cycle and all that.
You've got him lasting far longer than I. I've got him. I got Derek Queen just tearing up our boys here in a couple weeks. But no. I think that they host Cincinnati in the Big 12, Big East, whatever challenge, and I think Cincinnati on Villanova's home court embarrasses them to the point
beats them by
where
30.
Wednesday, December 5th, Kyle Neptune gets fired on a 4-5 Villanova team, and they say we got to start getting our recruits ready to a new coach.
All right.
I'll take the 5th. TJ, what you got?
My theory was they're going to fire him on a Monday, and they only play 2 more Sunday games this year. One is this weekend. I don't think they're going to fire him this weekend. They play Xavier on February 9th, so give me February 10th.
Monday.
February 10th. So the game after Marks.
Cody.
Yeah. All right, never mind. We don't need Cody. No, I'm going. They're going to beat Seton Hall, and then on January 19th, on a Sunday after the Providence loss, 7-game losing streak, get them out of there.
So I'm giving him the longest leash of anybody.
Yeah.
All right.
Big Neptune. After you put him on fraud.
I think the way I see it too, I think he gets to save his job win at some point along the way. That's why maybe it's probably not going to be Cincinnati, but maybe he does beat Maryland coming up, and that extends I think there's like one win in there where it's like, we can't fire him now. Like maybe they're turning a corner, and then it's immediately back to sucking ass.
What if they lose to Penn? Like they're 15-point favorites against Penn this week. If they lose to Penn, that's tonight.
That's tonight. Yeah, that's tonight.
What if the answer?
What if it's tonight?
Tomorrow.
What if it's literally tomorrow? What else?
I think we gotta let TJ speak on.
I have something.
Oh, you have something.
TJ has something.
So, Kansas plays Duke in the Vegas showdown next week.
Right.
We talked about this. Do you remember the title sponsor for the Vegas showdown that we talked about?
The chocolate orange thing, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, the Terry's oranges.
Oh, it was.
You got some?
Wow.
We got Terry's orange.
chocolate orange.
Dude.
Good job,
Let's go, TJ.
That was awesome.
Oh, this is good. Terry's original. You want to try it? You want
give us a
dark
review.
chocolate or original?
Your choice.
I'll do original. I'm gonna give you a live review of Terry's chocolate. This is.
Have you had it, TJ?
I feel like I've had this at an airport once in
Where
my
did you
life.
get these?
These were at Jewel Osco, just randomly.
Wow.
No shit. These are. This feels like a thing that only exists in
Holy
like Europe or
smokes.
something.
It is
Does
a
it-
European company.
Oh, it is a European.
Yeah.
For
Does it
those
feel
of you
like we
not
couldn't-
holding a Terry's chocolate orange right now, heavy. Heavy.
It feels about like the weight of an orange.
Oh my gosh.
It's just literally an orange.
They're sliced up. Is there oranges
no?
inside this?
I don't know. I don't.
Here's my question. Or is it like
No, it's not.
it's just chocolate?
I think it's just chocolate, but it's made to look like an orange. I don't know. I'm going in.
No, it's orange flavored. That's a fact. Smell it, dude.
Okay. It's not an orange. I thought, honestly, up until I put it in my mouth, I thought it was an actual orange, like dipped in
Oh my
chocolate.
god. It is not an orange, but it tastes like an orange.
It tastes like an orange. This is just, my review is that it tastes like if you were eating a piece of chocolate and an orange at the same time.
Does anyone want
That's
a slice?
literally,
You want a slice?
Yeah.
I don't think these flavors go together at all.
Here.
This feels like you open up your fridge and you haven't been to the grocery store in a few weeks and you're like, I got shit in here, but I have this like one orange that is inexplicably here and is not spoiled. I'm going to eat that. And then you're still hungry and you take a bite of chocolate. That's what my mouth. It does not feel like it goes together at all. It literally just tastes like orange. And you can make this at home. Just throw it on in your mouth.
I need to know, is this all Terry's makes? Like, is Terry's like they have a chocolate bar, or are they known for their
chocolate oranges?
This is a
Do they have other fruit?
This is a bad idea.
I don't love it.
And that's no offense.
There's no offense, but
Good job, TJ.
not for me.
TJ, can you comment on Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper playing together?
They look fucking cool. Ace Bailey went out with injury halfway through, which made me almost have a panic attack. But I mean, I think the team rocks. I can't wait to watch them play Bosco's Alabama boys in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Or next week, but because Monmouth is not a very good team to play against. But they looked fucking awesome. Like, the whole team was clicking really hard, and I don't know, it's very exciting.
But that's what I was saying earlier, TJ. Is like of course you want to go to the Final Four. Of course you want to win a national title.
Yeah.
But
The ride.
if the ride is just watching those two guys ball out, that's
Right.
pretty fucking fun.
It's the whole team. And for the first time in my experience watching Rutgers as a fan, I was like, holy shit, this is like what like a really good team looks like, and they're wearing my favorite team's jersey.
This is what like Duke and Kentucky used to do every year.
Yes, but they're wearing Rutgers jerseys.
But this time they're wearing Rutgers jerseys.
So
yeah.
I don't know, it's very exciting.
Shout out to Notre Dame. They blew out Georgetown in D.C. last week and kind of went under the radar. But they were, Georgetown's not good, but Notre Dame's not supposed to be good either. And Micah Shrewsbury's a guy that
That's your guy.
I'm very high on, and I'm not saying that this is his program win, his announcement that Notre Dame is here, but this is a step towards that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a step towards that. It's a game that nobody watched, nobody cares about because neither one of these teams are particularly great. But at the same time, it was a surprise. And shout out to Michael Shrewsbury. I love that guy.
You have to shout out Chris Holtman then, if we're doing shout-outs.
Shout out Chris Holtman.
Let me say this. DePaul, 3 wins last season. DePaul this year, 4-0.
4-0 already. He's already exceeded. Holt's going to be great there. Like, per their expectation. I think he's going to make them watchable. All I've ever said about DePaul is, like, if you can get to a point where teams are playing DePaul and it's not an automatic W, that's a huge step up, and I think he's going to get them there. I mean, I just did it with Kyle Neptune. I was like, I think Villanova's going to lose to DePaul. I don't care how bad Villanova is this year. In the past, these past DePaul teams, there's no world where they're losing to DePaul. DePaul's just like it's a non-starter that DePaul could ever win any game. And now, they're probably still going to finish last in the league, but now going, like, even if you're UConn, I don't think you can sleepwalk. You can mostly sleepwalk. You can listen, but you can't fully 100% know that you're going to win against DePaul, which is a massive step up.
They're 4-0 right now, and they've got a stretch of 3 straight home games: Eastern Illinois, Northern Illinois, and Valpo. They're going to be 7-0.
That's crazy.
They're going to be 7-0.
Lastly, a couple other things I want to shout out. Marcus Johnson at Bowling Green. You saw this kid. He kind of went semi-viral.
What grade is he in? Is he a senior?
What grade is he in?
Yeah.
What is this? Elementary?
No,
school?
I just want. He's the.
That's you could tell Tate's a teacher.
What does that even mean?
What class is he? What grade is he in?
Is he 13th grade, 14th grade? Listen, point being, he's my #1 draft pick for Friday afternoon hoops.
Oh yeah,
that dude would be electric to have it.
We should have like a employee. We should have an incentive program here where if you're like employee of the year, you get to hire one person. How would this work? I don't know. There's got to be some sort of like if you hit your Black Friday merch bonus something. There's got to be a bunch of stuff. But basically what I'm saying is I wish you and I had the authority to just be like to just call Dave and be like, we got to hire this guy.
Yeah.
Dave's like, there's nothing I can do. You earned the right to hire one person.
We have had that, not us. But, like, yeah, there's been times where someone's made a funny clip on, like, catching a home run at the Giants game, and Dave's like, he's hired.
Yeah.
So you want the ability to
But I want the ability to do that. I want to call Dave and be like, remember when I did those 7 things that led to me winning the immunity idol and Survivor?
Oh, yeah.
I won the fucking...
And he's like...
I won the Money in the Bank briefcase. I would like to cash that in now.
And I would like one 270-pound 6'6" guy out of Akron, Ohio. I would like to hire him for this office.
I want the DJ Burns, Robbie Avila hybrid. I want that guy. His highlights were something else. He was 1 for 11 from 3.
That's all right.
Shout out St. John's beating New Mexico. St. John's is in the Patino Bowl. St. John's is for real, and they are for real. They were a preseason Final Four pick for me, and they're very fucking good. I'm just gonna put it that way. And then last 2 things I had were Mark Pope calling the Cooper flag spin. You sent me that video. Yeah, that's unreal.
That was. I wish we had that in real time.
Yeah.
That was. Hey, he is going to spin, and we're coming.
Yeah.
Pause.
So.
But they did.
Yeah.
They came.
That's scouting right there.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was very cool. And then Cavs Celtics tonight. Cavs 15-0.
Who you got?
Celtics. I think the right ends.
Your boy. Listen, you weren't here when Ty Jerome came in, were you?
No, I wasn't.
Ty Jerome was here. Ty Jerome is balling.
Here?
Yeah, he came in here.
He was balling here. Or
No.
He's balling in general.
Ty Jerome.
I love Ty Jerome, man. I've always loved that guy. He's incredible. He was an OG cold ass white boy for me.
Mm-hmm.
He was as far as the media landscape, like the OG guys go back to the 90s or whatever for me, but I'm talking like when I was paid to cover college basketball and I was like, is this motherfucker a cold ass white boy? I think he might have been the first one I've ever said that about.
Where do we stand on those? How close are we?
Not this week, probably next week.
Okay.
I think after Feast Week is when. So we'll have Feast Week off. I think coming out of Feast Week. I think Feast Week is the cold ass white boys really show me something.
So message to all the white boys out there. You got a week.
This is a huge. Next week's going to be awesome with all the Atlantis and Maui and all that. But we got Purdue at Marquette tonight. We got Illinois Bama tomorrow, Wednesday night in Birmingham. Thursday we got Baylor St. John's from the Bahamas.
Virginia Tennessee is a big one too.
Virginia Tennessee could be a big one. So fun week of college basketball. That's all I got. You got anything else?
No. Go Cavs tonight. I got Cavs big tonight.
Cavs big.
I think it matters. I still don't think we talked about it last show. I don't think the Celtics give a fuck. Like
Really?
That's what I think. But
You think,
also maybe they come out tonight and prove everyone.
Celtics have their sights set on
Cavs are set
June, and the Cavs are set on.
Cavs are set on the NBA Cup.
Yeah.
Celtics are set on the NBA championship.
Interesting. All right, that's the show. We'll be back on. I think we're gonna do Friday morning. We'll be back Friday morning. Record a show, put it out Friday. So fun week of college basketball ahead. We'll see you guys then.